A warm welcome to our Leaders Exchange series on this very pertinent topic. This session is hosted by us, which is Global Talent Exchange and Bridgelabz. This discussion is aimed to explore the essential components of building a job-ready talent pool, from identifying the key skills and competencies required in various industries to fostering experiential learning and practical application. While we dwell into proven strategies that ensure talent is equipped with the expertise needed to succeed in their chosen fields.
For us, India is a cost advantaged market as well as a value generation. So you have a lot of talent which is analytical, which is technical in nature, that is found in India. And of course, the cost point of view is also a great consideration. And that's why a lot of companies, and I'm hearing a lot of GCCs are moving, for example, the technology business into India, or they're setting up the technology hubs in the India market. So I think these factors will keep changing. They will keep tweaking the strategies of companies, both in terms of how they operate as well as how we hire talent eventually.
We are adapting as we going in a flow rather than being adaptable for the future as well.
That pool availability in India in the lateral side still seems very limited in spite of having years of industry experience in the technology space. So I think there is a focus to actually try and build that talent pool for the industry, and we all need to come together to understand how do we build them internally, make them maybe available for the markets, and then make fungible resources that move around the organization.
We get freshers much ahead of time, and you have this 4 to 5 months to train them, while you are still looking for experienced people, and the position is open maybe 8 to 9 months, maybe even a year, right? So I think it's a balance that we have to do based on what kind of expertise. So it depends upon the role that you're trying to fill. It depends upon the area and also the add-on in your total mix of talent.
Whenever there is a need for the right kind of talent, everybody wants experienced talent, right? I mean, you want somebody who's more job ready than others, right? And he's done that in the past. But if you don't give freshers the experience or an opportunity, how will you get those experienced guys, right? So, but I understand the pain as well. If you have to put so much of energy behind the freshers and eventually a large number of them don't work out, it's a lot of waste. But if somebody comes along and says, you know what, I'm going to give you a fresher level 2. He's a fresher, he has no experience, but he's ready for your job. Would you be ready to try them?
Nobody can replace campuses. Campuses brings to you a lot of talent, a lot of energy and fresh perspective.
I am a firm believer of building rather than buying, because you have a better insight of how much you can build, where you can build.
We absorb young kids in the industry, you give them pathway, give them training, right? They go back to the alumni, they go back to their institutions and share what they are doing. It gets people excited. There's a career opportunity out there if we grow ourselves, and that helps actually. So I think any opportunity that exists, we have a lot of talent in the country, right? It's just that we need to create right kind of pathways to doing them.
There is multi-pronged approach that you need to take based on your needs, based on the talent availability, and based on, of course, the business need. But all of this needs to be done with agility.
Really start having a dialogue internally within organization with our tech leaders. Are we really maximizing the output of each engineer that is working for us? A lot of technologies are getting obsolete. A lot of things, are we looking for a legacy application support that we require? We can retrain them. And by doing that, we are also addressing the engagement and retention point.
IITians, there is a huge mind shift. In the last 2 years, almost 40 to 45% of IITians are now more inclined towards startup kind of a culture. So they want to be an entrepreneurs. So if this mode continues, maybe down the line for any big enterprises, it will be too hard to hire any IITians and retain, because it's not about acquiring a talent, but also retaining the talent. So these are the some of the things I just want to double click on, the people persona and people science, which as per me is going to play a significant role With all this, organizations should focus more on workforce strategy.
Let's delve a little bit in terms of the kind of skills that organizations are looking for, to be ready for the future.
We always have like a couple of resources which is totally working on the newer areas, right? And that's something that and it may not be always giving you ROI that you probably need, but then you probably want to have that because things are changing at a much accelerated speed.
One is basically touching upon all the domains, right, and see where it is going by the discovery and working on the use cases and see how we can help, right. Second is basically collaboration with the universities, right, in terms of specific use cases and research that can be done.
Fundamental approaches and what we've sort of approached is that if the foundation is strong, our Indian talent is really good. They have a really great mind. The point is, how do you put them into the right direction, get their foundations right? If the foundation is right, any technology can be taken.
How much can an organization invest in talent development? Can we have like a content aggregator platform like Edcast or Degreed, which is highly futuristic, which can predict, which has got things like learning predictive analysis, which identifies the learner's learning habits, the skills that each employee would need now and in the future. It takes an input such as what could be future roles, and it really gets together what the talent acquisition team is doing, what the talent development team is doing, sort of puts that data together and gives you a really good skill map of where the employees are of a particular organization.
Internship readiness as well, right? That's very, very important as well. One is the stage of internship readiness, the second in terms of internship conversions as well, because that is the fundamental aspects of how you build the talent from fresh risk taker approach to a finesse in terms of disruptive thinking approaches as well. So we've been pioneering in the past logos that have been associated with this. I'm a firm believer of academia collaboration in terms of internship opportunities with disruptive practices that puts them into live use case build outs that the organizations are working with.
What we really need to start focusing on in terms of probably I'll be engaging 60 odd people, but I end up hiring 30 odd people, but that is good. I need to really make those kind of investment much more and in much more intent in future.
The collaboration part here is more about kind of letting the talent pool know that there are a lot of opportunities just beyond technology, right? So that's again creating awareness, and that is more specific to FMCG industry because we make, move and sell the products in entire life cycle, all the opportunities. So that kind of really opens up avenues for the students who really are like more like with the blinkers on, that okay, IT, but there are within IT, there are so many streams.
Even if we have them on internship, there's so much of pressure for them to, they have projects, they have exams, they need to go back into college. So that model needs to change to make the future talent pool ready, We are not there yet, and we do need a lot of lobbying from the corporates with the government to ensure that that model is kind of evolved.
I'd like to ask all of you, for your advice for individuals getting into the job market or advancing their careers to be ready or to stay ahead of the curve.
For me, it's just the one piece of advice is people should just understand what growth mindset means and then just develop that mindset. Everything else will fall in place.
Take ownership of yourself. Generally, this is what I advise to most of the folks who approach me. And you have a handful of resources, build that research-oriented mindset.
One thing for the corporates, I think I would say is that if what you've been doing today, even if it seems cutting edge, and it's not solving the problem, be open to trying out new things. Otherwise, you're never going to solve the problem.
It was a lovely, discussion. I certainly learned a lot. So we will come back to you with more such, interactive sessions. We do have a group called as Leaders Exchange, where a lot of leaders like yourselves are a part of it, who contribute to it. The dialogue continues on that group. It's a LinkedIn group. So I'd urge all of you to join and, kind of participate there. Indeed, it was lovely having all of you this morning.